Okay, think about how you looked for stuff online, say just a few years back.
Right.
You type keywords into Google, probably scroll through pages of those blue links, click one, pretty standard, yeah?
Standard playbook.
But pause for a second. How do you find things now?
Yeah.
It feels different. It's definitely changing.
It really is.
You might just ask an AI, right? Or you see those AI overview summaries popping up in Google search before the links.
Yeah, those summaries are becoming more common.
Or maybe you just ask Siri or Alexa, hey Siri, find a good pizza place. Or, Alexa, what's the best way to find a tax attorney?
Absolutely. Voice search is huge.
And this isn't just some minor tweak. It feels like a really fundamental change in how we actually discover things online.
And that's the core issue, isn't it? For anyone, really, any business, any professional who needs to be found online.
Yeah.
Well, if people are finding answers and services these new ways, the big question is, are you actually showing up where they're looking?
Or are you still optimizing for, like, the old way that's kind of fading?
Exactly. Are you optimizing for yesterday's search?
So that's precisely what we're digging into today. We've got some source material focusing on AI marketing, specifically for law firms. There's this company, Veredictus, that's highlighted. Now, maybe you're thinking, law firms, not my area. But wait, because this is where it gets interesting.
It's a great case study.
Totally. While the focus is legal, the principles here about this shift, what's changing, how you adapt, that stuff applies broadly, like to anyone who needs people to find them online in this new AI world.
So our mission for this deep dive is basically to unpack this source material. We want to understand the shift in, let's call it online discovery.
Okay.
Define this answer engine optimization, AEO concept they talk about. See how Veredictus is using it in practice for lawyers.
Right.
Understand the thinking behind their strategy, and most importantly, figure out why this matters to you listening right now, no matter what field you're in.
Okay, let's start with the problem the source lays out. It basically says that traditional search scrolling through links isn't the full picture anymore. It's evolving and fast.
Yeah, and it's driven by, well, us, how we search, but also the tech itself, like these large language models. People are asking questions now,
Some conversational queries.
Exactly. Not just typing plumber near me. They might ask an AI, my sink is leaking, what could be wrong, and can you recommend a reliable plumber in my area? That's a whole different ballgame.
It really is. Less about just keywords, more about the actual intent and the whole question.
And even within Google itself, things are changing.
Those AI overviews you mentioned.
Right. Instead of just links, you get a summary answer Google pulls together from sources it trusts.
And you might get your answer right there, without clicking anything.
Potentially. Or you ask a follow-up question right in that AI box.
And voice assistants just underline all this. Siri, what are the symptoms of the flu? Alexa, explain compound interest. You're not getting a list of blue links on a screen for that.
No. And the source makes a really strong point here. Most websites, built over the last decade or so, they were optimized purely for that old model.
Get the click.
Get the click to the page. But AI search, it's different. It tries to understand the content on the page to give a direct answer or a summary. So if your website, your online presence, isn't structured in a way that AI systems can easily, digest, verify, and trust.
You're invisible to them.
Pretty much. You just won't show up in these new answer-focused results. Your traffic, your visibility, it could seriously drop.
Okay, so the game's changing. It's not just about clicks. It's about being the answer.
That's a good way to put it.
And this leads us to this idea the source introduces, answer engine optimization. AEO, what is that exactly? How is it different from good old SEO?
Think of AEO as the next step, an evolution. Traditional SEO focused on getting your link ranked high in that list.
Right, position 1, 2, 3.
Exactly. AEO focuses on optimizing your actual information so that AI systems choose you as the source for the answer they give.
Oh.
Whether that's in an AI overview summary, a chatbot response, a voice assistant reply. It's about being the source the AI relies on.
So it's less about the click itself and more about your content being understood and used directly by the AI.
That's the core idea. Making your expertise, your website's information so clear, so well-structured, and so obviously authoritative on certain topics.
That the AI trusts it.
That the AI confidently picks your information when someone asks a relevant question. It means thinking about both human readers and machine comprehension.
That sounds pretty involved. How do you actually do that? This is where the source brings in Veredictus as the example, right? Showing how they're doing AEO for law firms.
Exactly. They're building platforms and strategies specifically designed to make their law firm clients the authority, the source the AI turns to for legal questions or searches for legal help.
So when someone asks their AI, how do I set up a will in California? Or find a top-rated DUI lawyer in Chicago?
The goal is for that firm to be the one referenced or recommended by the AI.
Okay, so let's break down some of the specific methods Veredictus uses, according to the source. These are examples of AEO in action. They talk about AI-optimized content hubs. What's that?
Right, so this is more than just having a page for each service. It's about building out deep, really well-organized collections of information around specific practice areas.
Like everything related to family law in one place.
Kind of, yeah. But crucially, it's structured, so AI can easily process it, understand how different concepts relate, and see that this firm is the authority on, say, divorce or child custody within that hub.
So you're feeding the AI structured knowledge.
You're essentially creating these neat information clusters that machine learning models can easily grasp.
Okay. And they also mentioned structuring content in a conversational Q&A format.
Yeah, and this is really clever for AEO. People are asking AI full questions, right?
Right.
So if you structure content on your site literally as questions and answers common questions your clients ask, you're making it super easy for an AI to match a user's query to your answer.
So you're basically predicting the questions and putting the answers right there, formatted for the AI.
Pretty much. You're pre-packaging your knowledge for AI retrieval.
Smart. Okay, what else? They talk about rich schema and machine code. That sounds technical.
It is a bit technical, but it's crucial. Think of it like adding invisible labels or tags to your website's code.
Okay.
These tags explicitly tell AI systems what things are. This piece of text, that's the firm's address. This section, it's an FAQ about real estate closings. This person, they're an expert in patent law.
So it removes ambiguity for the machine.
Exactly. It also signals things like official business name, phone number, practice areas, even indicators of trustworthiness. Many websites just don't have this level of detail in a machine-readable way.
So the AI has to guess.
It has to infer, yeah. Which makes it less likely to trust you as a definitive source. Schema makes your site's information unambiguous to the AI. It's like speaking its native language.
So content is king, but schema is maybe the translator that lets the AI understand the kingdom.
Huh, I like that. Yeah, something like that. And building on that technical side, they also stress AI-friendly technical SEO.
It covers
the fundamentals, but viewed through an AI lens. Is the site fast? Is it mobile first? Is it secure? HTTPS. Is the code clean and modern?
the basics of good web design, really.
They are, but they're even more critical now. AI crawlers, like Googlebot, prefer sites that are technically sound, easy to access, easy to process. If the AI struggles to even read your site efficiently,
It's definitely not going to pick you as the answer.
no chance. Then there are hyperlocal landing pages.
Okay, connecting back to those local searches like find a lawyer in my town.
Precisely. When someone asks a location-specific question, the AI needs confidence that the answer is geographically relevant. These hyperlocal pages, optimized for specific towns, cities, counties the firm serves.
Prove that local authority to the AI.
Yes, in a way the AI can easily recognize and connect to those near me or location-based queries.
Got it. And the last point mentioned was chatbot integration and on-page AI.
Right, this is about the user journey after they potentially find you through an AI search, if they land on your site.
You want to continue the conversation.
Exactly. On-page AI or chatbots can answer more specific questions, guide people to the right info, maybe help qualify them as a potential client. It keeps the experience smooth and conversational.
So all these methods, the Q&A format, the schema, the tech health, the local pages, they're all ways to make your website not just human readable, but fundamentally understandable, trustworthy, and retrievable for AI systems.
That's the essence of AEO. Yes, it's a combination of strategies. Now, the source material also brings up something interesting about Veredictus itself, the founder's background, Daniel.
Right. They mentioned his technical background,
Okay.
30-plus years working with places like the FBI, NSA, DHS, the Navy.
Yeah, quite the resume. And the source presents this not just as, credentials, but as a key strategic advantage.
How so?
It suggests this background gives a deep understanding of how AI works, and more importantly, how it can work for your business.
Okay, but how does, working at the NSA translate to optimizing a law firm's website for Google's AI?
Well, think about what those kinds of organizations deal with.
Huge amounts of data.
Massive amounts, often unstructured, complex data. They need systems to process it, find patterns, pull out key info, and crucially, assess the credibility and trustworthiness of sources. The stakes are incredibly high.
Okay.
So as someone who's spent decades building or working with systems designed for that, processing signals, understanding information structure from a machine's point of view, filtering noise, verifying sources.
They'd have a pretty deep insight into how AI models actually process information.
Exactly. It's likely less about just knowing how to use current AI tools and more about understanding the underlying mechanics. How do these models ingest data? How do they weigh different signals? How do they establish confidence in an answer? How might they be confused or gamed if information isn't clear and reliable?
So it's like understanding the AI's thinking process, not just its output.
It's just applying that deep, almost insider knowledge of large-scale information processing and machine interpretation to this specific problem of getting found online.
Right.
While maybe others learn AEO tactics by seeing what works, this kind of background implies understanding why it works based on how the AI fundamentally operates. It's about designing solutions from first principles of how AI processes information.
That definitely makes sense. It shifts it from just applying tactics to engineering solutions based on understanding the core system.
Right. Applying that high-stakes data analysis perspective to business visibility.
Okay, so let's pull this all together for you, the listener. We've used law firms and Veridictus as this specific example, but why should this whole shift, this AEO concept, matter to you?
Well, the source calls it a fundamental shift, and I think that's accurate. This isn't just a minor algorithm update. It's how people are starting to access information, find services, get answers.
So relying only on the old SEO playbook.
It's becoming risky. Across many fields, not just law. If your potential customers, clients, audience members are going to ask AI for recommendations or answers related to what you do,
And your online presence isn't built to be understood and trusted by that AI.
you risk just disappearing from those conversations. You become invisible at that crucial point of discovery.
It really is that adapt or disappear idea the source materials mention. This look at the legal sector is like a preview, maybe, of a challenge facing lots of industries.
Absolutely. Whether you sell products, offer services, share expertise, build a brand, the core question is the same. How do you make sure you are discoverable and seen as authoritative when people search conversationally using AI?
And this Veridictus example, it shows one way a sector is tackling it, structuring content for AI, using technical signals like schema, focusing on local relevance. These are principles you could start thinking about for your own situation.
Definitely relevant starting points for almost anyone.
Now, if this has got you thinking and you want to explore more, especially if you are in the legal field, the source did point to a few other things.
Yeah, they mention a podcast, AI Attorneys. The Veridictus podcast, Adapt or Disappear.
Right, and a couple of articles like 50 Mistakes Killing Your Law Firm's Visibility in Google's AI Search, and one called Why Law Firms Must Adapt or Disappear.
Sounds like useful stuff for lawyers, but again, those themes adapting to AI search, optimizing for answers, they're pretty universal right now.
Okay, so let's quickly recap our deep dive then. Online search, how we find things, it's changing dramatically. We're moving towards asking AI directly and getting summarized answers.
Which requires a new strategy. Answer engine optimization, or AEO.
Yeah, focusing on making your online stuff understandable and trustworthy for AI systems so your content becomes the answer.
And companies are building specific tools and approaches, often informed by some really deep technical understanding, to help businesses make this shift and stay visible.
It's not just about getting humans to click links anymore. You need the AI to understand and trust you first.
That's the bottom line. The machine intelligence is increasingly the gatekeeper to the human user.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to take away. With AI changing how we find almost everything, how is this fundamental shift going to play out in your specific field or industry? What steps might you need to start thinking about, or even taking, to make sure your expertise, your business, your value remains discoverable and relevant in this, well, evolving landscape? Something to chew on